Well, welcome to our latest edition of Vet2Vet. I'm Conrad Kaskowski with the American Legion here in Plymouth. And with me is Dwayne Wick. Now, if you've been a regular viewer, I don't know if you've been able to keep up with his hats and whatnot. And
one of our 3 viewers.
Yeah, no, we're up to 6.
6, okay.
Yeah, we're working on 7. But Wayne is also with our American Legion post. But prior to in our other shows, he was the Sheboygan County commander. Well, now he's kind of stepped up, and you are the vice district commander, correct?
District vice commander, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you took care of 14 posts in the county. Okay, so
now
what have you graduated to?
Well, I've got still with I was reviewing things with Sheboygan County, but now I also have Dodge County, so that's another 8. So that's 22. So
how
22
many
posts.
counties are in the district?
There's 6. There's 6 counties within our district. So each of the 3 vice commanders is in charge of the two counties. So that's how they divide that up.
Busy. Well, okay, we're going to go on a little some questions that have been asked either of myself or Dwayne, and why don't you fire one up?
Okay, yeah, we're going to continue on with the VA healthcare, and one of the questions that sometimes comes up is, will the VA pay for outside treatment?
Okay, now you're going to notice I need to use some notes on this, try to get stuff straight. Also, the disclaimer is each claim that a veteran does who is within the system is unique, okay? No matter what the issue is, so this is not the standard. It's not every time and be done. Now, in general, yes, and especially we were talking earlier about emergency care. If something to have outside treatment done at a non-VA facility, you're going to need to have permission through the VA. There's a way of going through that. The easiest way is going through your county service officer or wherever you have your primary care. One of those two will take care of that. So you can't do that in an emergency.
Right.
The best advice I always give, excuse me, is there's a phone number on the back of your VA card. Call either you or someone with you. Call that number within at least 48 hours. The sooner the better. You got to get this documented. And above all, make sure you get the name of the person you're talking to and a callback number. Try to get that, and believe me, it saves a lot of grief later on.
Well, it's good to know who you were talking to if they say, well, who gave you that information or authorized it?
Exactly.
So that's in an emergency medical care if you were going to an ER or something situation. What about, is the VA hospital free for veterans?
Again, it's unique, and depending on your benefits and which category you're in. And what I mean is there are a total of, I believe, 9 categories. It's complicated. I happen to be in category 3, so there's a lot of things I get covered in mine that I don't have too many issues with, but some other ones do. Now, it doesn't mean, even for myself, that all the health care is free. There's a good possibility that there's going to be a copay involved. Now, the copays within the Veterans Administration healthcare are pretty low as compared to the outside.
Right.
And they're very consistent. It's not graduated. For instance, well, this is a copay if you have this, and it's a copay if you have that. They're pretty much all the same across the board, and it would take quite a while, if I had the chart here to give you those copays, but they really, really, really don't change.
I know with my priority being a priority 8, I always had a $15 copay with the lower tier medications, and brand name medications was a little bit higher, but that was always the same. We always had that same fee.
Right.
If you
some of the specialists you go see a specialist, that copay could be $50.
Right.
But when you look at the specialist that you're dealing with, it's pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. I think eyeglasses for me would have been $50.
There you go.
Yep. Okay, can I change my VA doctor?
Okay, now I'll kind of backtrack that a little bit. Once you get into the system, for instance, let's deal with Sheboygan County. 9 times out of 10, you are going to get to be assigned to the Cleveland Outpatients Clinic, which is in Cleveland, Wisconsin, about 18 miles.
North of here?
Yeah, I was going to
Near
say, I think it's about 11 miles north of
Near
Sheboygan.
the Lakeland.
It's right
or
across
LTC,
from, it's right
LTC.
across from the LTC campus.
Yes.
Okay, that's the one that, like I say, 9 times out of 10, if you have something unique, it might be something else, but 9 times out of 10, that is going to be your home base for all of your VA care and how you're going to get assigned other care. Now,
If you want to change.
you will be assigned a team, not just a provider. Somebody who's going to be constantly looking at it. For instance, I have Tao Lee, but I have 3 other people. I have a team, which is kind of unique, and they'll always refer to you as your health team. So you're not exactly the quarterback. Tao Lee is actually the one that calls the shots on it, but and that's how it's done. Now, for instance, let's say, I hate to use Tao Lee because a great fellow, really, really great, very compassionate. Let's say we have, I'm just not getting along. I say, man, I just can't get along with this guy. Whatever it is. So you would have to then get the team together. There is a doctor that's on site and say, okay, first of all, what's the issues, et cetera, and hopefully that can be resolved. If it looks like, this isn't going to work, may assign you to another person, or they may say, look, maybe you don't like coming to Cleveland. You go to Appleton, or you go to Milwaukee, whatever that might be. So it's a question that's asked, but I haven't really known anybody that didn't like their provider.
Yeah. Okay. Also, let's get into a little bit more. We've talked about eligibility here and there, but let's talk about what the veterans' eligibility is for health care.
Okay, now, just to make sure, a person who has served in the active military, naval, or air service and who was discharged or released under conditions other than dishonorable may qualify for VA healthcare benefits, including Reserve and National Guard members. And we say that because of the conditions that we are in today.
Right.
National Guards are getting called up, Reserve units are getting called up, and there was a time in the past where they were not eligible.
Right. If they weren't on federal orders.
Correct. They were, and just because they had their 2 weeks a year, well, that didn't cut it.
No, that didn't qualify.
That didn't make it. Or they may get called in for a state emergency. Well, that's not under federal orders. It's a state issue. That didn't count. Well, now, because of all these deployments, in fact, I remember one time we were talking with some National Guard folks. Hey, get yourself in the system. You never know when you're going to need it. You never know when you're going to use it.
Sure.
And I know one of our members who is currently deployed, when he was just about to get discharged, that's exactly what he did. Got himself into the VA program, and then in turn went into the Guard. Now, he still maintains his VA health care. Wish people would have talked to us when we got out.
So with that, do veterans have to use the VA hospital?
Nowadays, because of us getting older, I mean, we got to face it. A lot of us now are in that stage of having Medicare,
Right.
supplements, whatever. And I have made decisions where I've used the VA healthcare system because the procedure I had done was originally done by them, and it came time for do it again, and I said, okay, well, since you did that before, I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to go to somebody new. And lo and behold, it was the same doctor that was involved, and so it really worked out nice. Now, however, there was an issue for personal reasons, cataract surgery.
Okay.
It was said, hey, you're about due.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go to Tao Lee. Tao Lee says, oh, okay. Well, let's look into this. Well, turns out it was going to be approximately 6 to 7 months before they had any room to do this.
Okay.
Well, okay, 6, 7 months. I went back to my personal eye doctor, and he said, well, let's look into it. And he called me at home and said, well, we can do it in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, now which one are you going to do?
Sure.
So the only thing, but there was a combination I used though. Now in this case, I needed to get a chest x-ray, blood work, and a physical, even though I had one about 6 months before. That was done through the VA.
Okay.
And they took care of that issue.
So you can easily work
Yeah,
both
they took care of everything.
providers.
Yep, I went to Green Bay for some of the work, Green Bay VA, but I had the actual surgery done here in Plymouth. So that's the combination of working both the VA side and the private side, or private insurance side.
Sure.
So it does work,
That's
but
good.
again, it's not done till you have that written permission to do so.
Okay. Now, something you brought up, which I never thought about, was will the VA pay for dentures?
Now, dental care is available. It is free if it is service connected. And that can
Okay.
be of various things from a wound to who knows what. Okay. Now, I found this out by accident when I was up in Green Bay, and I saw that they had a dental lab. And I kind of asked the question, I said, what's all this about? And they had mentioned, said, well, I'll tell you what, they do have an insurance program.
Okay.
I looked into it. It's fairly affordable. It's not too bad. Take care of, anything that is required, dental procedures. However, that would have been for me. Could not, So what I did was I went into a private insurance for my wife and myself, and very affordable. But if it would have just for myself, probably would have, got into that
Sure.
program. So it is available.
Okay.
But I guess they don't really spread the word too much on it.
Okay.
But now we're going to step away from that, aren't we?
Yes. Yes. Now we're going to talk about something that is a huge change within the Legion, and that's the Legion Act.
Correct.
So this Legion Act, basically we used to have, I don't know what, maybe 6 categories of dates of eligibility, and now we're down to 2, which really, the first one is World War I, which doesn't really affect us anymore, but when the Legion Act was signed by the President just recently, it opened up anybody from December 7th of 1941 to present. So there's just mainly that one date, and they're eligible as long as you have a honorable discharge, and that includes basic training. So if you have 1 day of federal Title 10, I think it's called, you're eligible. So this opens up this huge area. Now I know there was more to it than just opening this up to, I'm not sure how many million more veterans, but it was with this 1,600 veterans that were
Casualties.
that were not covered. So I don't remember all the details.
And before I hear the lingo of, well, if I wasn't good enough before, I'm not good enough now. Everyone, and I stress this all the time, even when I'm on my Facebook or other social media, the Legion was not the one that incorporated these rules. These
Right.
rules were established by our United States Congress, and they gave, those dates were set by them. And you say, well, why? Well, the purpose was because you enjoy the fact of being a nonprofit, and they felt that, hey, if you're going to have that privilege, you're going to have to fall into this
Categories.
Yep,
Yes.
these categories. So they are the ones that set the petition after petition after petition, and voila, all of a sudden, the House of Representatives passed it, the Senate passed it, came through, and then the President signed it, and now here we're at. So yeah, you were good before, and we always felt you were good before. It's not the fact that we didn't think that way. It's just that those were the rules that we were tied to.
We were looking out for them for a number of years trying to get this passed, but it just happened to be that our national commander, Rice, did last year, was able to get this through and bill before Congress, and it passed and it was signed by the president. So
Yeah,
just took some time to get it through.
Yeah, I know my brother put some heat on me one time until he did some research and found out, and he called me. He said, "Well, I'm sorry, I misunderstood," and now he's a member. So
Good.
that's about it, folks, for now. All 6 to maybe 7, you know?
All right.
And we'll be back, and hopefully we'll have some more new news for you.